Hello everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week Jeff Glover and his coaches will dive deep into the questions that you're asking. They understand the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis and still work every day on the front lines of real estate, with Jeff and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, Jeff Glover and Glover U head coach Kate Simon will continue the streams of income of the Real Talk series. We'll learn from Jeff and Kate how to know when you're ready to build another stream of business without putting your main business at risk. Now let's hear from Jeff Glover and Kate Simon.
When do you know when it's the right time to move on to business number 2?
I think honestly, it depends on the people that you have in place, right? How successful could your business run without you, right? And that'll answer the question of how good of a job have you done
and how
developing people?
Will it be, right? So if you look at your current profit and loss statement, let's just say your real estate agent business, could you hire someone, pay them a $75,000 salary? Go get, you're a 10 out of 10.
Sure.
Go get yourself a 7 or an 8 for a $75,000 salary. How strong will that business maintain or continue to grow? A, and B, what will the profit look like at that point as well? And the reality is, in the real estate industry, a lot of people were doing that. I would say 2010 to 2018, left and right, people were touting, "Oh, I'm not in the business. I don't sell homes anymore. That's for losers. Like I don't.
I'm out of production.
I'm out of boasting about being out of production because they're on to their second or their third business or their second or third income stream, and it's amazing to me because." And I'm just being, I'm exaggerating at this number. 90% of the people that were boasting about being out of production are now back into production.
Right.
Why is that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Well, number one, their P&L is garbage, right? I mean, I like, if we look at what's the cost, you did a segment, the cost of a lead.
Yeah.
Are all of your leads that you're feeding your agents, bought from Zillow, bought from Trulia? Or do you have agents who know how to work their Sphere database, know how to prospect, right? Because as a team leader, you can say, we have a team that sells 500 transactions a year. What's the cost of sale? What's the cost of each of those transactions, right? So, I mean, there's that, number one. But number two, I honestly think it comes back to if you're not pausing to develop your replacement or your right hand while you're building this, you're always going to be stuck in that role. And I see it all the time with people that come to me and they want to be out of the business, but they want me to train their head person. And I tell them, I'm not going to take you on as a client. Your philosophy of not being involved goes completely against what it is that we believe in.
Right. And let me be real clear. You don't, I obviously, you guys have heard me say this a million times, and I tout this from the stage. I'm on the ground with you, and I'm going to be with you because that's what's important, and that's what keeps, relevant. But I'm not saying you have to sell 100 homes a year and lead your team, or 100 homes a year and, go be an investor and flip homes for a living. But you really should still stay. If that is your core business and everything is branching off of that, you really should keep your pulse on it by staying in some level of production. I mean, even if it's just a couple sales a month, right?
And that becomes you have to make a shift from, look what I built, I'm the entrepreneur, to holy crap, I've built this system and I'm just a piece of the system, right? I mean, you have to almost write yourself out of the business and still choose to stay in it, right? Still choose to be present there, but you need to have a business that can operate without you there.
Yeah, love that. So this is real, this is raw, this is why we're doing this. Honestly, I want to ask you, for our listeners, Kate, I gave the 3 reasons why I think that I have multiple businesses that are at least mildly successful, right? I'm not even claiming that they're wildly successful. I'm just going to say they're mildly successful because they all have room for growth.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not ignorant to that. So what do you think the difference is between myself and others that you've met in the industry or observed in the industry, and how I'm able to build and maintain the multiple streams when others are either not succeeding or failing or tried or whatever, right? What is your real and raw answer to that?
Well, it's tough, right? Because behind closed doors, and probably also one of your biggest critics, but it's because, I see all of your businesses as an opportunity for us to still grow and improve.
Yep.
But I will say that you hit the nail on the head. You are spot on with your time, with an asterisk. I know that you run your time a little bit different than I do. Drives me crazy. You're 10 minutes late. But the reality is, do you probably fit more in? Yes. Now, the back end of that is you have people like Taylor. You have, people in all of these businesses that are able to properly set expectations for your customer. I'll call it, because look, we have customers in real estate. We have customers at Glover U. We have customers at Titleosity. Whoever we're doing business with. You have people that know you, set expectations accordingly for you so that other people around you are not disappointed, right? So you have almost like gatekeepers to who your character is, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of people who, if you were solely responsible for your own growth, your own reputation, there's a chunk of people that would be like, Jeff Glover is 15 minutes late, screw that, I'm on to the next, right? Like there's 25% of the people who are high C's don't roll with that, right?
Correct. Yep.
So the other thing that I noticed is you're also like very focused on a few things, and like it annoys the crap out of Taylor and I because sometimes we're like, this doesn't even matter. Like this is so stupid. Like this is not the most important thing right now, but you're very fiercely focused on the top 10% of what needs to be done, forgetting or just not acknowledging the steps that get there. And you more or less pass the idea to people who are responsible for being the worker bees to sort of, put it together.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to say that because I do have this need sometimes, and this because I know it drives the two of you crazy. Like when my mind is set on something, like I can't do anything else until we take action, until I see progress, until I see someone even, it's as silly as it is, like we'll be in a meeting, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say, stop. Did you write that down?
Right.
Right? Like,
I'll never forget that.
Everyone's like, got it. But I'm like, no, hold on. Did you write that down?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. No, it's true. Like in our one-on-one a month ago, when you came up with the SLS idea and you threw a dry erase marker at me, and like we weren't doing anything else until we like figured out the name of the program, what we were doing. It didn't matter what else was on the agenda. But, there's plasticity or there's flexibility in the missions that we're working on, right? Like, at the time, we were focused on, are we doing the retreat? Are we not? And then all of a sudden, this new project came to the top of the list. So there's got to be a flexibility for pivoting to what's needed right now versus being so fixed on just, like, running a plan and not evaluating it. So I would say one of your strengths is, like, and this drives me crazy sometimes, but it's also a huge strength, is, like, you're constantly evaluating, like, what's our plan and how do we need to pivot to stay relevant? What's our plan? How do we need to pivot to stay relevant?
Yeah. So thank you for that. Can I add a fourth one? The ability to handle stress.
Oh, my God.
Right?
That's actually a huge one. So people don't believe this, but I've never seen you remotely bent out of shape. Ever, which is like infuriating, right? Because usually it's Taylor and I that end up like being the ones that are like screaming into a pillow. Like I swear to God, but like you have a very high tolerance for stress. I've never met another human who could be, for lack of a better term, standing in the middle of a shitstorm who's like, nope, it's gonna be great. This is actually going to be fine.
And I honestly believe that.
No, you really do. And
I
like,
always do.
There's times I'll like look at, like, Chris Terry and I have talked about this too. Like, there'll be times where like Chris and I will look at each other, or like Taylor and I will look at each other, and we're like, I don't know how the hell you're going to do it, but we know you're going to do it. And I don't get it, right? Like, I don't have a personal tolerance for that, but it is a huge, it's a huge skill, and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it'll catch up to you later. I have no idea.
Right.
But your tolerance for tough conversations, tough situations is like unlike any I've ever seen. Like, I know some leaders, for instance, who will lose sleep for a week over having a tough conversation and letting somebody go. And I'll see you, and you'll have like, I remember, well, I'm not going to say the exact scenario, but you were like happy mood, throwing it back with the team, and you're like, all right, I got to go over here. I got to let this person go. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And I was like, don't you think about this? Aren't you worried? How do you think this conversation's going to go? And you're like, I don't even waste time thinking about it. I just got to go do it.
Yep.
So like, you do have a very short attention span for uncomfortable things, which I think is huge.
Yes.
Does that mean you don't have a conscience?
Stop it. So, no, because, by the way, I would say, as a leader, one of my greatest weaknesses is the ability. I avoid the tough conversations. I don't enjoy the tough conversations at all. So, to your point, I don't think about them, right? Like, I don't think about them until I know I need to do it. Right? Like, I think about stuff like that probably in the shower like everybody else does or whatever, but I turn it off. Like, I just flip the switch, right? Like, I just turn it off and just start focusing on something else.
Yeah.
But I think that any leader who wants to build multiple successful businesses or streams of income, side hustles, whatever you call them, you have to have a high tolerance for stress. You probably remember when we first opened the office that we're sitting in right now, there was a sign right by the copier. It was actually right by the bell, right? Remember and it said, the pro is the person who has all the struggles, all the setbacks, all the pain, all the agony, all the stresses, but you'd never know it, right? That's
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And you cannot detect that there's, they're not circling around like a tornado around the office when a deal's falling apart, right?
So I'll never forget. This was probably like a year and a half ago, and you might not love that I'm going to bring this up, but it was right before like a leadership meeting, and we were all like sitting in the conference room, and there was like a random person at the front desk, and you were like just about to come into the meeting, and you just addressed this random person at the front desk, and you were talking to them for like 3 or 4 minutes. You came in late, and I was like, who was that? What was that about? And you were like, oh, just another lawsuit. And then you literally just jumped into the meeting agenda. Like, most people, if they just got served a lawsuit for something, would it destroy their day, would destroy their week. They'd be on the phone with a lawyer. What do I do? And I think I remember asking you, like, aren't you stressed? Like, aren't you like at all worried? And you're like, no, there's nothing I can do about it. I got attorneys. We're going to work on it. It's not a big deal.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, which is honestly such a triggering thought, like, such a triggering phrase when you say we'll figure it out. But over the last couple of years of working closely with you, I actually know and trust that, like, you're right. You're totally right.
We'll figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last thoughts on when you think of multiple streams of income, multiple businesses, what to the gentleman that asked the question, what are we doing differently? How are we able to manage it all? And before you give your response to that, I do want to make a recommendation, because we have a lot of people listening who are high achievers, and they may be thinking, well, all right, if I had a second stream of income or a second business, what would it be? And my recommendation as a coach to them, I only recommend things that I'm involved in myself, is you're in the business of real estate. You know real estate. You know homes, you know cities, you know values, you know structures, you know inspections, you know appraisals. The first place that anyone should go as a second stream of income or a second business is becoming real estate property investors, period. Like, if you were to say, Jeff, coaching company, title company, training company, mortgage company, no, running a team.
Why is that? Is it because there's the least amount of reinventing you need to do? You have the most amount of experience?
Yeah, so you already have a built-in level of experience involved there.
Got it.
A, and B, it requires capital. And that goes back to, nobody should be starting any sort of second business until they have capital, right? Now, when I say it requires capital, right, down payment, 20% on a $100,000 house is not, it's capital, but it's not substantial, right?
Sure.
Nobody should be going and buying a brokerage or running a real estate team without a substantial amount of capital, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and a proven track record of leading people, right? Like, I even say, even for JGA, we're coming out with a new program called the Glover Agency, and it's basically like the next level for an agent. If they want to test out, what it would be like to lead their own team and build their own team, they're going to be able to do it within our team at a very fair price, right? Meaning, I can actually show you side-by-side comparison that your profit will be the same or more with us. The point is that nobody should go do that until they have a substantial amount of money in the bank and have a track record, and of course you have to have a belief and a vision, right? You shouldn't make a decision And I would probably put an asterisk on this statement with investing homes. You shouldn't, investing in real estate, you shouldn't make a decision to go start a second business just because you got some money laying around, or just because it just feels right, or everyone else is doing it, or, well, he's doing it, so I should do it. So let me just first that. You have to find a true belief. You actually have to want it. You have to know what it's going to look like and be able to paint the picture and the vision of it before you go do it, right? Not just because somebody says you should do it or because you read a book that told you to do it. There's an asterisk to that, and that is investing in real estate, because you don't have to have a passion for a house. You don't have to have a passion for investing. It's just a smart and okay, I'll give you a good analogy on this. So in the, I'm affiliated with Keller Williams Realty, right? So in the Keller Williams model, the operating principal, their job is to cast the vision, and hold the team, hire the team leader, train the team leader, hold the team leader accountable for carrying out the vision. All right. Well, I get a lot of people reach out to me from around the country and say, Jeff, I know you're an OP, whatever, operating principal. Do you think I should do it? My answer is, if it's in your market, yes. Why is that? Well, because you already have influence in your market. It's not going to take that much extra effort to have success in the role. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong. You're going to have to hire a team leader. You're going to have to meet with a team leader weekly. You're going to have to train, coach, hold accountable. But absolutely you should do it, because you're already halfway there. You already have the influence. You already have the sales. You already have the reputation. So, in other words, the job is easier for you than someone just starting brand new, day one, just got their license, but they have a big bank account, and they can buy a business or whatever, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I think that anyone who's looking for a second business, before they do anything, it should be investing in real estate, because you're already there. You're already halfway there. You already know it. You already... It takes a lot less effort than something new. I
think it's kind of a good ego check too, right? Like, okay, if you have all this money to invest, is this very public ego move company the best investment? Or would you invest in something private that nobody had to know about?
Right.
Like, honestly, all ROI being equal, which one do you go for and why?
That's right.
Like, because there are more profitable investments, right? Or, I'm not pro EXP, anti EXP, but I keep having people who are like, oh my God, look at my stock. And it's like, all right, if you're going to invest in A, the stock market, or B, invest period, is that the best investment all around? Or is that just a benefit of being part of the company? So you have to look at the whole picture of, if my goal is to start a second company or have a second stream of income, does it need to be this public business that has a lot of overhead, has a lot of people management, or can I achieve the same ROI? Can I achieve the same profit investing in real estate?
Yeah.
So it'd be an interesting sort of litmus test to see, is this an ego move or not?
Are you telling me people make decisions on what their second or third stream of income should be based on
how
their
cool
ego?
It looks? How cool it looks. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. I saw it all the time in California. Look, I've got this side hustle. Look, I've got that side hustle. And it's like, listen, you're never going to know what my side hustles are, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about it. Like, it's always going to be something that my husband and I privately have. Like, you're never going to see, like, my name on a sign somewhere, because that's what I need, right? And, like, if that's the best ROI in your time, absolutely go for it. But being in the world of where Andrew, helps people buy and sell businesses and invest all the time, like, it's not the most profitable thing. So you have to have a stronger vision or a stronger passion outside of that. Because you can make the same or more ROI doing something that has less bells and whistles.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Anything else on investing, second stream of income, multiple businesses? Anything else that comes to mind for you, Kate?
I mean, the only thing I want to say is, like, you have to have a level of focus with something. If you find yourself bouncing from idea to idea every 18 to 24 months, I would argue that you haven't totally mastered something. I don't know anybody who's mastered something in 18 to 24 months. It doesn't mean they're not out there. I question the need to chase the shiny object, because unfortunately, this year it might look like a title company. Next year it might look like a coaching company. In 5 years it might look like a real estate team. But you have to ask yourself, what is it you're really after, right? Is there a hole in yourself that you need to fill? Or is it truly an investment? And one of the questions I'll ask people is, if you couldn't post this on Facebook, and if nobody else could know about this, would you still do it?
Oh, man, that's a great question.
Honestly.
Yeah. Can you repeat that?
If you couldn't post about it on Facebook, and if nobody else knew that you were doing this, would you still want to do it? And if the answer is yes, go for it. Your passion's there, your heart's there. But if there's a piece of you that's salivating at the thought of making your first post about, oh my gosh, it's been a long time coming, I can't, like
big news.
Yeah, got some big news coming.
It drives me crazy. So many
something
people,
big coming.
Oh, got something. Yeah, exactly. Like, give me a break.
Like this is not primetime TV. You don't have to announce it. Like,
right.
You know, so if you're not willing to honestly
do it silently.
If you're not willing to move silently and then ask you about it later, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
That's right. All right. Thanks for joining. Kate Simon and Jeff Glover, Live Unreal podcast. Keep listening, keep chiming in, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify and subscribe today. Until next time, remember,
you have to ask yourself, what is it you're really after, right? Is there a hole in yourself that you need to fill, or is it truly an investment? And one of the questions I'll ask people is, if you couldn't post this on Facebook, and if nobody else could know about this, would you still do it?